Welcome everyone to another RGL cast. My name is Jarrett and I'm here with Space Ghost to bring you GCI versus the Jug Dealers here tonight on Snakewater. This is RGL Invite Season 6, Week 3A. You know, it's not exactly Week 3, but it took a bit for this match to get played. But here we are nonetheless ready to get this ball rolling to see who's going to end up on top by the end of the night. How you doing, Space Ghost?
And they're pretty good. I think this should be a pretty good match. A lot of playoff implications for this one.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Both these teams are, I'd say by now, they're definitely playoff bubble. You want to make sure that you're taking that spot at the very end of the day and no one's taking it away from you. GCI, they've been a team that people look at as a team that's probably going to be making playoffs. Well, the Jugglers have been a team that people were wondering, are they going to be a team that you're going to want to talk about when you figure out, who's the fifth seed trying to sneak their way in? And so far, they've kind of established their dominance in that regard. But the question is will they continue that train rolling and be able to take an upset win versus GCI tonight? It's probably important to go over the roster a little bit for anyone who hasn't been keeping track of the season too closely and, kind of get an idea of what we're going to be seeing tonight from both these teams in terms of their lineup. So we'll go ahead and go over that now. I'll start with the GCI roster. That is Catface and Cap on Scout, Rakuso and Sin on Soldier, Sin Karma on Demo, and May on Medic. It is important to note that Caps is once again back. He was gone for a week or so, but he has returned to his team.
And for the Jug Dealers, we have Zam and Gungan on Scout, Haze and Paw Dog on Soldier, Mustard Overlord on Demo, and Phantom on Medic.
Yep, a lot of talent on both these teams. Only one of them can win at the end of the day, and both these teams. This is a very important match. This is not just a match that if we win, we win, we lose. No, this could decide, maybe not by itself, but it's a contributing factor on who is going to get the playoff spot. Right now, I think it's important to note, unless you've been keeping track outside of matches, it's probably important to note the safety net that GCI had from beating Witness way earlier on the season is gone. The same night that we were watching Freyo versus Witness, GCI lost versus Cat Posse in an upset loss. So they are now, for all intents and purposes, seeded as the 4th seed team, which is the team that the Jug Dealers, they have put themselves in the 5th seed. They've beat all of their neighboring opponents, spare most of the, the teams that people think are going to get playoffs. So they're pretty set to be in the position to try to sneak their way into 4th if they can get a nice upset win. And since GCI are, pretty much the 4th place team and Jug Dealers are pretty much the 5th place team, if that's going to swap it all, then this is the match tonight that you're going to want to watch. And it could be deciding right here tonight who is going to get their way solidified into playoffs and who is going to have their work cut out for them for the rest of the season.
Yeah, having that head-to-head when it's 4th seed versus 5th seed is huge. And even the match points, even if one team wins, the match points here also might come into play depending on how many rounds teams can get. So I think that this match might be one of the most high-stakes ones for the rest of the season, unless, some weird, disastrous upsets happen further down the line.
Yep, and this isn't even the first time both these teams are going to play as well. This is the first time that it's showing out of 2 total. We'll see another showing, I think, probably like week 6 or 7 or something like that, where these teams will face off once again. So that will also come into play when we're factoring in who is going to get the final playoff slots, as well as, obviously matches between both these teams and opposing teams that aren't even in the picture could affect things as well. But the head-to-head, like Space said, is very, very important here to try to figure out who is going to come up on top. The predictions are open for everyone to kind of figure out how they want to, gauge who's going to win or lose this match in terms of the score. It seems like some people are kind of favoring the Jug Dealers, although initially you would think that GlobalClan Ice would be the favorites, although the recent upset loss to Cat Posse might be an indicator on how well they've been doing recently, although different map, different day, maybe different story. Last time was Clear Cut, this time it's Snakewater, and we'll see if GCI can keep their stuff together versus teams that are thirsty for a win.
Yeah, Jared mentioned it earlier, but one thing I would like to point out is both teams are kind of having a player return. Previously, GCI was missing Caps. I think they had bomb. I forget they had something. I think they had bomb mode or something.
Yeah, they had bot motoring for like a match or 2.
Yeah, so they're getting their main scout Caps back, and the Jug Dealers are getting back our good pal Mustard Overlord. He was also missing in action. They had a Chunky ringing, I believe. So both teams now having their full set, 6 mains. So that should be interesting too to see if maybe people, the combos might be a little disorganized, or maybe they'll slide right back in and get ready. We'll have to see.
Yeah, it makes sense that this is a week 3 match being played in week 5 when you recognize the implications and how important it is and how both teams are missing a player, pretty integral to their team. And pretty Mustard is for sure their main caller, and I think Caps might. I'm not sure if Caps is like the shot caller for GCI, but still, having a core like scout player on your team is pretty important for synergy purposes. And if he's going to be gone for a week or so, it might throw a wrench in your plans in terms of trying to get some strategies and some plays going for certain maps. But everyone's got their teams now, so it's anyone's game really. The question is what did you prepare before everyone left, and how well were you able to keep it together once everyone is all returned? We have some teams starting to ready up, so shouldn't be too much longer until we get this ball rolling and see who's able to take the lead going into the first half. But we need to talk about our predictions, our scores, all this while people have been, typing away at what they think is going to happen. But Space, what about you? What are your predictions for this match?
Honestly, I feel like this match, considering recent history, if you asked me like a week or two ago, I would say, oh, GCI is going to win this. But considering recent history, I think this could be up in the air. We might, I'm going to say it's going to be a 5 to like 3 for GCI, but it could very easily go the other way.
That's true. I think normally GCI would be the favorites. Considering what's happened recently with their upset loss versus Cat Posse, one has to wonder, was that like a map thing? Or have they like lost their groove and like they couldn't get their stuff together with Caps returning? Like I'm not really sure what the issue was there. I personally didn't watch the demo. Probably should have done that. But either way, it kind of throws a giant question mark into their ability to perform short term. Although who knows, everything could be fine. Because it was a Koth map, I'll ignore it for now and say that they're probably the favorites and could take it like 5-2 in my eyes. But I also agree with the sentiment that this could very well be a close match to, every little bit will count, and it could, one or lost mid could end up deciding the match for all we know. We've seen it happen plenty of times before where teams will just like, I don't know, one little mistake and all of a sudden, boom, you've lost your 5-4. I mean, last Thursday were 2 games happening at the same time in the division where the game was won or lost by a singular round. You can attribute that to any amount of fights or decisions that didn't necessarily go your way. Neither you could have been adjusted or changed in hindsight to have your team come out on top. So definitely both teams are gonna have to give it all they've got, and if they slouch at all, it could be disastrous for their long-term season run. So curious to see what's gonna happen.
Yeah, one thing I'll say before we start is I do think there's a couple of key matchups in this game, and I think by far the most interesting matchup is the Mustard Overlord versus Sin Karma on demo matchup. I'm really curious to see, because if drug dealers want to win this, they're gonna have to keep Sin Karma in check and not let him go on casual 500 DPM romps through the map. But it looks like we are starting here.
I definitely agree. This is a very both these demo men are kind of very important for their team and in the creation of it, as well as this being Snakewater in general. But we are going live into the first half, so we're going to see how much damage these guys are going to be able to do early on to allow their team to prosper in this first mid spam, going across both catwalks. Not quite hitting the mark. Sticky's flying away, trying to soften up some targets to initiate, but not a whole lot of damage so far. Gonna see Caps taking a little bit of damage, backing up, and actually Zam taking the high ground, so it might be difficult for Red Soldiers to initiate if they so desire. Sin trying to spam him back to allow them some room to work with, but the scouts are just still, kind of taking turns going up on the high ground. Zam and Gungan showing a little bit of dominance, but no one is actually quite going in yet. I don't think either team necessarily sees anything they really want to go for until Sin jumps in, tries to use the wall to get some splash, but is going to die for it. But so many kills happening from the side of Rakusa, bombing and taking
Force on the May.
Both scouts, and yeah, Force on the May, but that Uber will clean up Phantom. Phantom at 94%, no heal target because Hayes is behind, stuck, so that will be a very quick mid-win from GCI. I guess not quick because it was long and drawn out, but as soon as they pulled the trigger, that was pretty fast.
That was a good awareness on from, I believe that was May. Yeah, good awareness from May to notice. I don't know if he has the head, but he definitely knew he had a slight Uber at it. Apparently, he just went in on it. Looks like GCI's gonna come in here. They do clean up Hayes in the back line, so I guess we're hopefully gonna see a kind of stalemate sit back. Although it looks like they're trying to dry and lower, actually. Kind of interesting. I don't think the Uber had, they what, 20-30?
Yeah, I think they're just trying to go off the lack of spam, but it seems like the Jug Dealers don't want to bother. They're already set up at last. They have their gun. They had their gun already. I'm pretty sure they thought that second was just going to be free. So they're just giving that up, playing safe and playing the defensive role here. Bit of damage onto the blue soldiers, but they're going to be okay, making sure they're arrowed up and getting ready for the incoming red push. But it looks like it's going to be heading through Shutter pretty soon, trying to spam their way and, buff up. They have a little bit of time, but if they take too long, could be, pretty disastrous because this is only turning into a 25% Urat Space Ghost and lowering as we're speaking.
That's true, and they have the sentry in the power position in the center of the map, so I think GCA probably expected it to be even, considering they ran back, so it looks like they're going to be content here, just post up, run some sacks, try to play this round out methodically.
Yeah, I guess they didn't want to bother. They popped to be able to kill Phantom, so the ad isn't crazy huge, and maybe May wasn't healing for a second. Figured the ad's too small to work, but they're trying to bust their way through Shutter. There's not
Two soldiers
giant...
in Shutter here, both eating the same spam move. Sin Karma's kind of peeking right here. He got a little damage, but it looks like we're just taking some... Paul Dog gonna drop low, actually, but... Yeah, no sacks. It looks like they're trying to spam. I don't know if they're trying to spam the gun, or if they're just kind of poking and prodding, waiting for someone to feed.
I think they're just trying to get information, and they definitely know where the gun is now. Have Jug Dealer set up. They're very focused on the right side of their own map, so I'm curious to see if GCI is going to work their way over to Shutter or through Lower to try to spam this gun. And Lower down. It will be, so gun down. They have a little bit of an opening, some damage taken. Sin had to get pretty weak to be able to get that gun down, so he's not able to counter that quite yet. But Rakuso is on the move. Gun level 1, so it's not going to be too much of a bane to be able to get him in, but the rocket will not hit onto Phantom, so two-man Cafe's going to get taken down by the gun. So it's an unsuccessful two-man, and the Jug Dealers have some room to breathe until Gungan dies to a trap, unfortunately for them.
Yeah, he, first one through the door, looked for the trap, and he found the trap with his face. Real tragedy, but,
good sticky clearing.
Yeah,
good sticky clearing.
He did his shot. Someone has to do it, and it's better him than anyone else. It looks like Zam does have the base cannon alive, so he does have, I believe, 2 revenge crits on his base cannon. The glow stick for the engineers, so I'm curious to see if they actually... Some engineers do like to get aggressive once they have those guaranteed crits, so I'm curious to see if he ever does that once he gets his level 3 up here.
I mean, I think we've seen plenty of, medic drops in Twitch clips, though, where it's definitely possible at an invite level for you to sneak your way in and get a surprising play. One little slip up from the attacking team can, be pretty good for your team. But we actually see a wide shot coming from a Catface. He barely sneaks by through the gun, but dies just to a spam rocket sitting at 21 HP from the side of Paul Dog. The dispenser will go down, won't matter, but Zam going in, able to get that Rakuso kill. So there's the crit, not quite the medic, but still a kill nonetheless. So some more breathing room for the side of the Jug to start pushing and prodding. But Mustard, alone in lobby, it seems like they're a bit out of sync and not on the same page. But what the goal was there, so he's going to be accidentally alone and die. So that's great from GCI to recognize that they had that free demo pick there to be able to get. And now with no stickies, this doorway's pretty much free to poke and prod. The question is, are they going to exchange or just try to work this into a sack?
Paul Dog, actually, he didn't die there. Good job on Paul Dog living there. But yeah, it looks like Phantom's they're gonna get the force early. May's gonna actually save Rakuso. Good flash from May. But yeah, they get the gun. They're successfully in. There's another base cannon.
And a bomb coming in. Pace is gonna die, getting a little damage, but
look at all these hurt players.
Clean up.
Rakuso hits the air shot onto Phantom.
Oh, nice, I missed that.
Nice salvage play from Rakuso at the very end there. So, both teams, even though they didn't get the last push, May is going to have Uber right here. So if they can get into second with, push into second without using that Uber, they're going to maybe have an Uber at for last. So yeah.
They also have heal ad right now too. They know they have buff players to try to push in, and that's immediately what they're doing. Zam is somewhat behind. They're trying to chase people out, but Zam is going to get spotted. Oh, he's actually able to. Oh, almost. Cap's able to drop down and collect that kill. I thought he was going to be able to get out, but good job from GCI recognizing that the heal advantage they had could be pressed, able to collect 1 kill and make sure they got that point once again. So not only are they sitting back on second, but they have an ad to work with this time. Can't really use the Zam pick because the Uber is going to be much more of a more solidified thing for them to go off of. So 90%, not going to be too much longer until we see them push through Shutter, it looks like.
Yeah, Paul Dog and Bull Soldier's actually going to spot this early. I noticed they do like to play both these.
Damage.
Yeah, I noticed that Bull Soldiers really like to play this left side, so GCI kind of, doesn't pay attention, they'll get punched. But it looks like this Uber's already in, they're going to get the gun, and they have Blue does have a heavy in spawn. Not really too much happening right now. May's going to drop very low. Paul Dog in on Sin Karma, going to fall, so Red is up 2 players.
Yep, it seems like they're collapsing over on the side of this truck, though. This heavy is being a presence, but not on the side of the map that GCI is attacking.
Mustard was blocking the point, though. Massive damage for Mustard, and is May gonna live here?
It's a little bit of a salvage. Sin is the last person that's staying inside last, as May has completely left, but the respawner will help make sure that Mustard is able to collect that kill onto Sin. So Overall, valiant effort in the beginning to be able to collect a lot of kills, but it seems like they piled too many people on the point at once to be able to collect that round at the end of the day. So Jug Dealers in a good position with an Uber at 50%, dwindling a little bit, but they have to cap, so it's to be understood that, you know, they're running out of time, but there's still some remaining if they wish to push in a mid.
Yeah, that was I'd say a pretty heads-up play from May to realize that that 2v2 probably wasn't winnable, so he just dipped and Sin Karma, you know, sacrificed his life so May would live. Here comes a blue Uber here. It looks like they tried to bomb someone hit their forehead, but
Oh, flank away from
Red's actually
GCI.
staying in here.
Oh, they get pinched inside kitchen. Oh, the pipes from Zen Karma, though, collecting so many kills. Phantom and Hayes going to drop, so that's pretty much the combo dead for the side of Jug Dealers.
Trying to get the collapse, but two very healthy... Ooh, oh, Sin, he got scout caused very hard.
Oh my god, distraction for Paul Dog as well. Bob against Sin Karma, able to collect that kill. Zam trying to flank
in
behind.
On the flank, though. Can he get May? Oh! Sin Karma is just unstoppable.
Yep, collecting those kills and protecting his medic. Very heads-up play for them in that defense of their own point. It was a very slim ad to work with, though, but May didn't even need to use his Uber, so with that defense and their, you know, they still have their Uber, getting their players together, this is pretty much a free second. So once again, they have another opportunity to work their way, or at least try to, into the opposing team's last. You see Jug Dealer setting up with the gun once again. Curious to watch the soldiers. The last time we saw them put out a lot of damage while GCI was still inside lobby, and I'm curious if they're going to be able to have the same effect, but no. Driving immediately from the right side. They're just walking in, Uber pop, running across the point, trying to get onto the gun, and any soldiers that are collecting over by the sides of the shutters, able to get a little bit of damage of no quills, but it's actually GCI players that are dropping into the red hell. Zam's gonna fall, but it's actually both scouts to the side of GCI that are falling the same with May. So many kills being collected by the side of Bleason, jumping into the point.
He's gonna get Phantom.
And Rakuso trying to salvage, but not quite. But it seems like that last, it lacked a little bit of direction, and Jug Dealer just collapsed in a perfect way to be able to make sure the only real thing that they lost was Phantom.
Yeah, I was really impressed too, because GC noticed that Jug Dealers like to stack both their soldiers on the left side, so they did what in my opinion was the intelligent play. They walked in right for free, but oh, it looks like GCI's gonna recontest second here.
Another heal ad push, but they're down Rakuso, so they're down players to this, and lose both scouts
Sin
immediately
dropping down very low.
Yeah, trying to jump away.
Just barely escape.
Oh, not
so Sin
quite,
Karma
though.
also in behind Hayes. Hayes doesn't know.
Yep, he's gonna sneak out. 20 HP. There's a soldier cutting him off, though. Hayes able to get that kill. Seems like
the latest though.
Both GCI scouts are just
He might die. He dropped down very low there. Rakusa also gonna drop down. I guess he's gonna die for May's sins, which is, you know, that's how you prefer it. Don't want your mid dying. So looks like Jug Dealers here are gonna come in and take mid and just try to roll us into second with their 3 pick advantage.
Just putting salt in the wound, continuing the bleeding of the GCI players. I feel like we're just seeing first it's the scouts and then a soldier and demo die, but they're just going in with their ad. They see him stand up, and May got launched up in the air, unable to make sure that Sin Karma is able to keep that Uber still on him. Zam gonna fall trying to get onto the point, but Phantom still has 100% Uber, down a couple players to be able to use this, but maybe they can catch out GCI if they are a little bit too aggressive, but I think GCI are just gonna hang back, stay up on bats, recognize that the players they've collected have prevented the Jug Dealers from really working themselves forward, and they have a little bit of time to build their Uber, so it's not necessarily going to be 80%, it'll be more like 50 or 60, but Jug Dealers, Pews, they have their players rolling out, so they're going to go ahead and start to be on the move, work their way towards lower to try to push their way into second.
Here comes Sin dropping down on the shack here. It looks like we're having seen 6 men in lower. Yeah, Rakusa bomb in. He's going to try to live, but his kind of team is just watching him bomb there, so I guess that was just a sack while they set up for last.
Phantom baited that pretty hard, did not leave the interior of that lower area, so Rakusa really had no target to land on whatsoever, so good job from the side of Phantom, maintaining the Uber, and they're actually going lower, straight lower, yep, that it is.
They're just in.
Immediately onto Sin, pops to the air, removing pop from May. Yep, the gun's levitating a little bit, but that'll be an Uber trade at the very least. They're not going to be able to chase too much GCI. They are too far away and don't want to work their way over towards lower. Want to keep their positioning at the doors to be able to make sure there is no flood from the side of the Jug Dealers, but don't have to worry about that. They're going to be A-okay with the Uber trade, not try to push too hard off of that and just go ahead and reset and maybe even go for a building Uber strat? No. They're not going to build and try to use that. That's too small. There's no way they do this. It's just going to be even.
I don't know. Maybe we have some psychopaths the other team. We'll have to see, but
I mean, it took a sec for May to use, but certainly not enough time where they think it's at. They're probably just building for the sake of building.
Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah, I seen. Looks like they're going to try to rather. The Zam team, I can't think of the Jug Dealers. Words are hard. Looks like, okay, we had a soldier trade in lower. Rakuso, they got 2. I wonder if they're going to try to push off this now, because now they're, you know, they have 8 pick.
Sin's a little weak, so unable to do anything, you know. Gonna be difficult for them to make a move off that. They'll probably just take the Rakuso death and say, you know, that was that. It's whatever. But
Yeah.
Zam on sniper. So first off class of the match, trying to break into this last. So curious to see if this first surprise shot's gonna do a whole lot of damage. You know, GCI haven't had a whole lot of reason to fear peeking so far because the sniper hasn't really been a presence in this match quite yet. It's been early on, so he's in lower. Wants to maybe
He's
take...
calling for medic. They might have heard it because he was calling for medic a bunch. Although I think
maybe.
oh, he's just gonna peek shutter. I don't know if they're ready for this. Like I think he's. I can't really see, but oh, he misses his initial shot. So now they know there's a sniper to shutter, and oh, he's
dropped to one.
He's a singular health.
Actually forgot. Oh, they're on the move through lower. Actually, want to take this Uber exchange. Ubers get popped off inside lobby. Barely even noticed that. So good job for them creating some chaos on the side of GCI. Able to get a Gungan as well. So no scouts for the side of the Jug Dealers because Zam is on sniper and Gungan is dead. So might be something to try to poke your way into. I mean, maybe not necessarily push, but try to go for some sort of bomb. But it doesn't seem like the soldiers are quite ready to go. Rakusa's getting buffed up, but I don't think he wants to necessarily pull the trigger. So Zam respawning, or actually he didn't die. He's still on sniper. So
yeah.
I also forgot Cafes did do one sniper play. It was just a one-off, like, run in and die, though. I totally forgot about that. So this isn't the first sniper play of the match, but it's the first sniper play for Jug Dealers, at the very least.
Yeah. Looks like Zam's electing to take more of a, you know, super hard kind of peek to the door. Actually, now he's just watching passive angle. I'll say, I don't blame GCI for not pushing out there, because even though the you know, Jug Dealers didn't have scouts, trying to push into Snake Water second is I think it's one of the better sniper points in sixes, so I can definitely understand, you know, the sniper could just sit across the map and there's nothing you can do about it.
True.
Looks like Zam
didn't go for a sack though, but...
Yeah, he is going drop down here. He might get Sin here. I don't know if Sin's expecting the sniper to be watching drop down. Oh, misses his initial shot, so now they know. Expecting people to rotate over here.
Rakusa working his way over towards the shutter, still somewhat in a presence lower, but, you know, Cap will make sure that that's still locked down somewhat. Paul taking a lot of damage, trying to peek the shutter, will get dropped to 50, but will still live his team of Summit with him, and GCI do not want to chase into the lobby. There's quite the presence of players in there. Have to be careful peeking these doors. Zam is rotating back and forth quite frequently at this point to see if he can go for a mirror shot. Mirror shot it will be, but he will get killed by the gun. Wasn't too far away from being able to get that drop, but at the end of the day...
The pipe was in the way. I've never seen that before, actually.
Yeah, that will not happen. So, poking around through lower, GCI are trying to make something happen. Actually, Rakusa going to be bombing in through, I think it was Cheese, able to get the one shot onto Phantom. Phantom will surf up and prevent that second shot from happening. So, Paul Dog taking a little bit of damage, but that is going to be it. A single Rakusa sack after the sniper play from Zam did not hit his mark. So, respawned on Scout. Not going to go for any sniper plays currently. I think they're maybe just going to try to spam the gun or something instead, but there's still a heavy presence of GCI in lower. It's actually going to be Zam going once again, trying to kill Sin, but will be healed up and the gun protecting him, so not going to find a whole lot there. Sin is now on the move, as well as the other. Both Sins are on the move, rather. Both Sins are on the move, but
That's
it's
terrifying.
actually Rakuso on Spy that's going to be committing.
Already behind. I think this is a very good chance for Rakuso here, because I don't know if they're expecting the Spy out of last. You know, a little, I wouldn't say not traditional, but it's definitely... not exactly known. Rakuso's already in mid. This is very interesting.
I think he was trying to go to mid to like see if there was an off class rolling out.
He's so far behind.
Yeah, this is a bit. It makes you wonder, is at any point the Jug Dealer is going to be curious at why counter sacks aren't happening? Because the first time they didn't counter sack at all.
Rakuso's he checked for Spy actually. That's what he was. He's also behind them, and he actually just waited to check for Spy. Very interesting, but. You know, GCS can be down one soldier to spam here, so the Jug Dealers do have a good chance here. Hayes in, he does actually manage to get...
And May drops!
He got May?
Oh. He found the opening. Rakuso also gets the drop, a double drop back to back. One from a soldier, one from a spy. So 3 players alive on both seats, but there is a gun, and May types +4 in chat. That is indeed a +4. Gungan trying to go in.
Gungan are just in. Paul Dog's on the point, and I don't know. Oh, Sin barely manages to save the point there. I must say, this match is even though it is kind of stalemate, it's definitely been very back and forth.
That was almost a very nice play, but it seems like the focus fire was not quite there, so a couple deaths from the side of the Jug Dealers will make them completely forfeit the second point, and it's, for all intents and purposes, the Ubers are pretty much even. Both medics died at about the same time, unless Jug Dealer's about to do like a giant middle finger dry push. They're backing up. This isn't going anywhere. Gonna be stalemate city once again, except we're gonna be on mid and 2. This ad that's 20% is pretty artificial. I don't think it should exist. I think May has just been building and Phantom hasn't. And given the geometry of this map, I don't think they're not gonna recognize with the solemn vow that there's any ad or disad at all. So probably going to stalemate out here. We're going to see what the Jug Dealers do in the driver's seat to try to break into the opposing team's second once they get.
Yeah, I'm curious to see whether they elect for off classes, because you know, now that GCI is holding second, they don't have to worry about a sentry gun at all, which is kind of by far the biggest pain when you're sacking in. So I'm very curious to see. Looks like they're going to elect for the, you know, pretty textbook kind of lower pressure here. I don't see anyone really in position to sack. Hayes is by the window. It looks up, and there he does the trap.
Yeah, Zam's pretty deep, trying to get onto Sin, able to get a meat shot, and able to collect that kill. So demo down for the side of GCI. Zam will get cleaned
almost
up.
Got another guy.
Met by the rest of the team, but they'll get arrowed up and live to fight another day. But being down a demo, it's put you in this really awkward position where you don't want to go too far. You know, they're peeking around in Saw, but they don't really want to commit too far. It's actually Catface working something on the flank. He thought he saw an opening, but it's immediately covered by the side of Mustard Over, who's left Saw. So Paul
yeah,
they're trying to move off the fact that Mustard surprisingly rotated, but not quick enough to be able to collect that Paul Dog kill. So now with this pick,
they got him before Sin Karma's here. No stickies, which is nice. And Caps is gonna die instantly.
Yeah, they tried to Uber to save him, but it seems like it was not quite there in time. Sin Karma dying on the back line, so the side of GCI is just falling. Sin is behind a little bit to be able to cause some chaos, but May is going to get caught out by the Uber, unable to have any scout speed to be able to make sure he's rushed out of there in time. So it is just Catface on last. Sin behind. The second point will get capped up. Must over trapping the right hand spawn, as well as getting on the point, but it seems like that's going to be all she wrote for this round. It seems like the snowball effect is what the Jug Dealers needed to be able to take this first round.
Yeah, it's I don't think many people would expect we expect to be close, but you know, not a convincing. I'd say a pretty solid 1-0 though, coming out of Jug Dealers here. They're on their last. They managed to parlay that into their enemy team last.
Yeah, last to last are always really interesting to see, especially when it's as back and forth as it is. But going into the next round, going to be reset a little bit to see what both teams are bringing to the table to try to bring the pace of this second round into their favor. Spam once again going across both sides of the point. Seems like high ground once again somewhat favorable for the blue team, but they are taking a whole lot of damage. The red team is still in this
Sin Karma
game.
is 1 health.
Oh, drop very low, get bombed by Paul Dog, and that is very good cleanup for the side of the blue team, getting a lot of damage, losing some resources to be able to collect that kill, though, getting very weak as well, has to make sure he's healed up, and it seems like their health is not too good, despite being able to get that demo kill, and it seems like it was a little bit too much for them to be able to get. Mustard left a different way the side of his own team did, so will get cleaned up by Caps.
Out here.
Yep. Gonna get chased a little bit, but the soldier bombs jumping in into grass, making sure they're able to get that kill onto Phantom and Gungan, who was left alone on accident, and the initiation from Mercruso is amazing, able to make sure that those kills are collected, even more so from the side of the red soldiers, and the collapse is just there, making sure that tiny victory they got on mid completely snowballed into a full team wipe with only losing 2 of their own players in the process.
Yeah, massive plays from Mercruso there, and it looks like a GCI is just gonna walk in. They're already in, barely even been spotted. They haven't even popped Uber yet.
They're not even in position. You gotta get to the point to be able to block that. Uber for the stats, and that's a very swift round, and a stark contrast from what we saw earlier for the side of GCI.
I think GCI have noticed that that Jug Dealers really like to have both their soldiers on the left by Shutter, so I'm curious to see if Jug Dealers adapt that going forward, because GCI has just been their last 2 pushes have just been them, you know, kind of walking in and getting to the point and not getting shot. But onto a new mid.
Yep, gonna see if there's any changes this time around. This is where adaptation comes into play. You've gotten an idea of how teams are playing, but Phantom's making a lot of damage. Isn't able to be a presence in the mid quite as effectively as he'd want, but still somewhat around to be able to heal his team up. But it's actually the Cap that's dying to stickies from the side of Mustard. So once again, able to get that initial pick, and it seems like that is enough to make GCI go ahead and leave, cut their losses, go to 2, and play a little bit of slow game here. But Jug Dealers are chasing into lower
look at this
immediately.
aggression. They're just dead. 2 soldiers and saw it too. They're getting in trading spam. Mercruso gonna kind of fake bomb. He just kind of penciled straight up, but yeah, I don't know how hard they're going to commit to this. It looks like they're still kind of in. I'm curious to see if anyone can get a force here. Hayes is going in for the force onto May. It's 2 rockets, but May does get a good milk.
May barely dies. He just got the chip shot off through Africa. They were unable to spot it, and that was quite the play. Probably did not expect a 2-man, and I think he had his arrows out too, or something like that, so did not pop. Unsuccessful holding of the second point for the side of GCI long term. They have it for now, but this is a pretty good position for the Jug Dealers to be in with a medic drop. Not quite on the move yet. They recognize that GCI might try to cause some chaos, but they lost no one in the process. Spare the people they sacked. So have some respawners, and that will make them start their move into second, which is pretty much completely vacated. GCI already going up to last. Lord is being trapped, though, so have to be mindful about that. Might lose Gungan to this trap right here, depending.
Ooh.
A lot of damage, but we'll survive it. So Uber and players intact for this upcoming Jug Dealer's last push.
It looks like Jug Dealers are locked in to go through Shutter here, and they're just kind of getting, I guess, yeah, gun concern. Okay, now they're gonna pop in. No one here to really shoot though, just a soldier. They do manage to get Sin, and Pollock's gonna play point. Looks like really big bombs on the point here, but
Sin's kind of a low, Mustard as well, but so many kills are going for the side of Jug Dealers. Yep, May is going to fall as well. Only 2 scouts left alive, but they are nowhere near the point to be able to make sure that that is protected and not enough damage onto the Jug Dealers to make sure that those kills are easy to collect. So another round for Jug Dealers going into another mid, and this is going to be the round point to see if we're going to be going straight to the halftime or going into a tied game.
If you asked me beforehand, I would not have said that Mustard Overlord would have 34 points, and Sid Karma would be at the bottom of his team. So Mustard Overlord is kind of ascending right now.
Yeah, he's definitely doing pretty well for his team, but GCI still have some, they have some moments to be able to try to make things go in their favor. Sin bombing in, gonna land in a really awkward spot, blasted back to his own side, but it's gonna be Gungan and Polldog falling, but actually this collapse from the side of Jug Dealers, making sure that this initiation is completely stuffed, or at least enough to make sure that there's only 2 players left alive for the side of GCI. Cap trying to go for the lower, but
on the mid. Can he get him?
Just alone, a couple whiff shots, but it's gonna be enough to be able to make sure that these kills are collected. And it seems like the Jug Dealers just had a real issue with making sure that their remaining players left alive were actually on the same page and actually together. You had like one guy poking lower, one guy like in grass, and one in saw. Like it makes no sense. They're just completely by themselves despite almost being able to win that mid. So good job from GCI making sure that those little mistakes were punished. And we talked about the little mistakes early on. Even like silly stuff like that, you gotta nip that, make sure it doesn't happen if you want to make things go in your favor. So GCI now in a position to get the ball rolling and maybe things make things evened out depending on how this second and last push will go.
Sin kind of getting caught out a little, and I don't know if it was a Sackers going for a play, but the early soldier pick means that Blue can breathe a little bit easier here. Red isn't actually, their Uber ad isn't, they have like, what, like 10%? Not really enough to push off them, so I guess they're gonna like to just back up, hold on mid and play the slow game here.
Yeah, they may try to dry off the late players that were rolling out, but I think the initiation was a little bit lopsided. Sin went in a bit too early, so when he got gone on by the Jug Dealers, they were unable to support him and make sure that the kill onto him was not a trade and, let them stay in the fight. So bit of a miscommunication on the timing, but they still have a good position here inside Saw to be able to try to break into the Jug Dealer's second. Seems like a pretty normal setup when it comes to defense, although there's not too many crazy things you can do when you're holding Snakewater 2. Cruz is going to bomb into Cheese to create some distraction. I don't think he's going to go all the way, though. Getting actually body blocked, a little bit of a change of plans. He's out of there. It probably did not expect to run into an airborne meat shield to prevent him from doing his sack, but
I wasn't
still
expecting
lives.
him to live.
Yep, able to get out he's once again. Try number 2, but Phantom's not even in. Oh,
he lost Mustard, actually. Interesting.
Yep. Goes for the Mustard kill because
really
he knows
hurt.
that Phantom is unable to be a target, so it's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I'm curious, if they sent 2 there, they definitely could have cleaned up on Mustard. They must have just solo sacked for Crusoe to try to, go for some sort of off-class play. That's what I have to imagine they're trying to do here. Otherwise, single sack would... Maybe they're just feeling defensive. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like no off-class, just single sack. All right. We'll see what they do this time.
Now they know that Phantom is willing to go inside lobby, which might make things easier to collect some kills, or now they know they kind of have to do some extra effort to make him feel like he needs to be more aggressive, so he's actually a bombable target, and of course making him feel like he needs to be more aggressive to actually heal a broader amount of his teammates.
Yeah.
So he's not going to be able to duck inside lobby for too long if these people on the point are going to get gone on. Rakuso thinks he sees an opening, but not quite able to find it. Phantom once again inside. Gonna see, I think that's Hayes on the move inside Saw. It is. So
he's hiding in the corner. Okay, I'm curious. Okay, he goes for just the walk at him strat. So
yeah, I think he waited for some spam, but the timing just wasn't quite there.
Yeah, he's trying to catch someone out walking into the doorway. Understandable. But looks like GCI is really aggressive here. They're just 5-manning through lower. They get a lot of space really early too. I'm curious to see what happens here. Looks like Zan is infiltrating behind. Gonna take a 1v1 for Crusoe while this team fight's happening.
If running forward, Caps wants to take this Uber, and the Uber they shall, trying to make some flashes happen for the side of the Jug Dealers. Not gonna be too many though. It's actually Sin that's dropping very low, and he's not even in this Uber. He's actually getting dropped, not leaving the same way that May is. That's a Dome inside, dead. Trying to get an arrow, but both scouts are gonna be on top of each other. Will both probably fall in the same spot. I feel like I see this so often. The GCI scouts are just in the same spot and both die in succession. But the Soldier Initiation coming from the red team, trying to
really
salvage.
high bomb from Rakusa behind. He's gonna get one rocket, 2 rockets, and he gets
nice
Phantom.
cleanup onto Phantom. Very good salvage. I think most soldiers would try to go for the scouts off the damage from his soldier partner, but I think he recognized the opening with both scouts being, kind of focused on his soldier partner. Just found the opening to try to go Phantom and got a couple rockets off to be able to make sure that kill was collected. Hayes trying to slow down the red team to make sure this is capped off, but he will get caught out at the end of the day, so a little bit of early pressure is going to kind of bite them in the end.
Look at Paul hiding in the corner. Catface didn't notice either, although they bowed him. I think that actually he's gonna get Sin. Doesn't know Sin's so low.
Oh, the Surf 2 HP.
He's won.
Oh,
that's an absolute tragedy.
Valiant effort, but at the end of the day, kill will not be collected. So Uberat for the side of GCI, they will get it right now. Hayes, the only soldier left alive, will take an arrow to live for half a second longer, but will still get melted by the GCI train rolling through Saw, and immediately, speaking of trains, they want to roll through lower, but the drop from Mustard into May, the trap, they went through that too quick, and Mustard collected another on a Caps as well. So, it seems like Sin might fall as well. There's so many people dying from the side of GCI and lower. Bit of a cursed spot right now, gonna be a soldier duel, trying to clean up the scraps that are left behind from the side of GCI. Rakusa able to collect Zam, though, made things a little bit difficult for them to push out, have to wait a little bit longer before they're able to, kind of work their way out. So, it's gonna buy some time for the side of GCI, but at the end of the day, very good play from Mustard at making sure that he pretty much stopped GCI from working their way into last single-handedly.
Alright, here's the conundrum. You have 2 minutes left on the map time, right? Game ends in 2 minutes. And they have full Uberat pushing out a last. Very stressful situation. I'm curious how they approach this in a... If I were GCI, I expect the backup here. Here comes a Mustard bomb, but there's really only a roamer to kill. And looks like 2 players are going in through Cheese behind. Pauldog does spot it though, at least, but Pauldog's getting bullied by Rakusa. Rakusa's behind.
Yep, Mustard trying to fight this. I think he thinks he's the only one who can do it, but he's gonna get melee. Rakusa able to get the melee, and it seems like the play normal strat had a bit of a flaw in it. They went for a kind of an interesting play, but full Uberat for the side of May.
Gotta get that really forks, but everyone's dead.
They went for the play normal strat, but didn't really work out in their favor. I mean, they probably should have played normal, but not put Mustard in the Uber. Just like have him sticky trap lobby like you normally do when you're not demo bombing, because you know they're gonna do a back cap.
Yeah, I just knew like, oh, you have to go for a back cap for GCI. There's literally like no reason not to go for a back cap attempt.
Yeah, it's if you want to push out, fine, but like probably don't demo bomb, or at least like be hyper focused on your last defense. But
yeah, they kind of demo bombed into nothing there, but. Yeah, we're gonna come to less of it here. I think it's I don't know if it's mathematically possible. It might be.
I don't think it is. I mean, you have to play super fast.
I don't see any meme weapons, so I guess there's that. But Mustard Overlord's walking across the plains.
Yeah, he knows the pace at which this map would need to play, or this round. But the bomb from Pauldog, able to collect that kill. So, but things are drawing out long enough where this is not going to be anything.
Yeah, they're just starting to cap. Yeah,
this is pretty much dead time.
I will say that is a lot better. It feels a lot better for GCI, knowing that they did get that last second round there at the end, which is kind of, I'm not gonna say a miracle, but it's definitely, they're gonna feel a lot better going into the half 2-2 as opposed to 1-2. Definitely a much better feeling.
You don't want to go into another half at a deficit. It's always not a good feeling. You have to put in extra work, and the adaptations you need to make if you're the team that's behind it's more of a tall order. It's one thing to, go into a match where it's just like, oh, clean slate, we'll just do a little bit better and we win. But if you can't do a little bit better, if you got rolled 0-3, for example, right? You have to completely flip it around. So I'm sure GCI is very happy about that. But, small mistakes. I guess that last, 2 minutes is a prime example on why, even though, the playing normal strat is, fine when it comes to, high pressure stuff, it's why some teams do decide to no, we play differently, we turtle, we don't take chances, because the human error comes into play. One small thing that you forgot about, it just kind of bites you at the end of the day and gives away a round where we could have just done nothing and it would have been fine.
Yeah, it's kind of very easy to criticize either way, really, right? Because if you play passive, you lose. It's like, oh, you didn't take advantage of all the situations you could have done. But if you do that, then you get back at it. It's like, oh, we could have just done nothing. So it's kind of like a, it's a kind of a catch-22 in that no matter what you do,
it's
you
high
can
stakes,
get
so you have to decide right then too.
Yeah, it has to be very okay. We're doing this. No time to hesitate there. So
now
I can't blame them for their decision either way. Really, just it's how the cookie crumbles.
That's the That's like the main plague of demo bombs, honestly. Like before demo bombs were super meta, demo man's job was like, all right, and it still is kind of depending, but like, all right, hang back, sticky some doorway so they can't like 2-man back cap.
Yeah.
But now the more often that you see demo bombs and you know that's not going to happen, the easier it is to go for those types of plays to be able to get back caps in it. It's able to find some success there to even up the game. Looking at the stats, holy cap KD. He
Oh,
that's quite the stark contrast between him and a lot of other people in the server. Mustard not too far away, which is actually in some ways even more impressive because he doesn't have the hit scan cleanup, honestly.
yeah. Yeah, Mustard is kind of collecting a lot of kills. Maybe these people are kind of like either trying to block the point or walking through doorways. He's doing the demoman job very well, but looks like Caps is the only scout on the logs to really get above the 200 DPM area. So Caps having himself a game while the rest of the scouts seem a little sad.
True. I mean, there's a decent amount of stalemate, so I guess it kind of makes sense. You know, the DPM gets tanked by the scouts because you don't spamming.
Doesn't really, yeah. It's it's much more indicative of like how well you're doing as a scout. I don't think the stats matter that much for DPM on scout, especially on flank scout. Like the flank scout DPM, who cares?
Unless you're an absolute lord with the ornament, you're not farming your DPM in a stalemate on scout. It's just not happening. So. But I mean, looking at the logs, I don't think there's anything too crazy to dissect without like it being a stretch because it was such a close game realistically. Like, and even then, like if you look at kills per se, like even sometimes kills can be kind of arbitrary as well when it comes to who is able to collect a kill when two different players go in, kills between assists. Maybe you could look at like KAD and kind of like.
I think you could look at drops.
Apart,
maybe May did have 3 drops. Not saying all of them were his fault. Every drop is its own scenario.
But there's just an Uber that doesn't exist.
Yeah, so. It's just an Uber. So you maybe you're thinking back. Okay, maybe you do something different or popular. All kinds of different stuff.
Yep, definitely a lot of things for both teams to address, and that's probably one of them. Even if it's obviously the ones that are May's fault, he can address himself. But the ones where it was surprised that it's not really his fault, work as a team to try to spot some stuff and figure out what you want to change. Because, like we said before, every little thing can make or break whether or not you win this match, and I think that's definitely showing with it already being 2-2 going into the half. So definitely very important to keep in mind. Phantom does have 1 drop as well, so
yeah, that was the spy.
Yeah, that was a double drop too. That was a +4.
Yeah, that was the good old +4. I will say that sometimes logs don't tell the full tale, and I will say I think Zam has had some very good flanks. I believe he got 1 or 2 drops of his own just by having some like kind of cheeky flanks and chip shotting May right after he eats the bomb. So I think Zam, doing much more than his DPM would indicate. And I also think Recurso, even though he did die 21 times, he definitely stands out to me as a player who had some pretty notable momentum shifting kind of plays. So I think those are 2 players on the logs that, doesn't really tell the full tale.
Recurso's follow-up has been pretty good. Like, he's been making sure that he finds an opening whenever Sin goes in. So Sin will go in and get a lot of damage, and Recurso will make sure that kill is actually secured. So it's at the very least some form of trade.
Yeah, and he had a bunch of salvages at the end of team fights that his team lost where he actually managed to get the med and kind of, save the round, so to speak.
Yep. Going to be going live into the second half, though, so it appears we're going to get to see how both these teams made their adjustments and figured out what they want to change to make this stalemate game, like rounds-wise and gameplay-wise, be a little bit more faster-paced in their favor, going into a fresh mid to see who's going to start out on top.
Yeah, watching Buster Overlord here, but it looks like there's, in both teams, no big bombs early, at least. I'm curious to see if one team decides to double bomb. There's a bomb. You're gonna hit Zin, and Recurso's gonna get the counter jump, and I just
getting collapsed on.
Ooh, big fight from Buster Overlord, but looks like
oh, the counter initiation though.
Blue is vaporizing, and Phantom's dead. It just yep, that's a 6-man wipe. So good mid from GCI, gonna preserve their medic and wipe the enemy team.
The Jug Dealers actually had so much damage on a GCI early on, but they weren't able to actually collect any of the kills until much, much later, which is a bit unfortunate for their coordination, and a good job from GCI recognizing whoever their targets were on their team to make sure their backup lived for as long as possible to allow the counter initiators to be able to make sure that the Jug Dealers were collapsed on. GCI able to take that mid with a wipe with only losing 2 of their own resources, uber intact, ready to push into the Jug Dealers last as soon as this cap goes there. Wait, May is solo capping right now. He has his team with him though, but gun going up from Zam, so it's going to be a solo gun for now. Like you said before, they've been walking in for free. They've recognized there's been no sniper off class for the side of Jug Dealers so far, but it's looking like it might be Shutter again, depending.
They actually switched up, you know. Whatever their last were doing, they weren't really working that last game too well, so it looks like they're gonna take the gun, and we're gonna see some point pressure from Catface.
Yes, so bombing in.
Yeah, big bomb from Hayes on a Catface, dropping very low here, but Red does have 2 kills here.
And one of them Mustard as well, so no Sticky's able to re-put on the point. 2 soldiers left alive with Phantom trying to arrow up them to make
Hayes
sure they live,
but
at the end of the day, no one dropping to the side of GCI. It seems like their adjustments for the last push is exactly what they needed, and Jug Dealers dropping around, they have to make some adjustments of their own to make sure they're able to stay alive in this game. GCI taking another round to make it a 3-2 game.
Yeah, that was a very, you know, kind of textbook last push, I'd say. They kind of did everything exactly as you're supposed to. You know, it's a good job. I noticed Paul Dog is on the paint train on Soldier on Snake Water. Interesting choice.
I guess he's, wants to free his scouts from Cap Hell.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's I haven't seen that one in a hot minute, I'd say. But, you know, going into another mid here, looks like both teams, Rakusa's going to kind of do a fake bomb. Okay, Mustard spamming up top, but both teams are just electing really spam right now. No super commits just yet.
It's a deja vu, the first mid, really.
Yeah, I will say, Blue definitely has a little more high ground pressure right now. Rakusa's just kind of sitting back. Oh, that spoke too soon.
Yeah, Sin's
Soldier's
going
to come in, but
counter
yeah, they do
from
get
Rakusa,
Bulldog.
make sure that kill is collected. So 1 kill, but may drop to 4 HP. Has to duck inside the other kitchen, but it's actually
They're gonna collect Sin, and there's so many hurt players in lower, and Hayes is in.
Causing a distraction as well, inside saw. It's going to prevent GCI from actually walking back into the mid. It makes them hesitate just enough, but it doesn't seem like the Jug Dealers actually want to go back into mid. I think they've kind of recognized they're not in a good position here.
Yeah, they traded Hayes' life for getting up, but Hayes is still alive, so I'm curious to see what kind of solo play he has to make, because now he's stuck behind, you know? So, oh, looks like, okay, they're going to come back and go for the pinch play, looks like. Yeah, I'm going to get forced early, so is May.
Pretty much an Uber exchange.
Yeah, well, Uber's looking pretty equal, but Phantom is hurt in the post.
Oh,
look at this collapse from Blue. Oh my god, this collapse.
This collapse.
This is dirty.
They ended that Uber in the most awkward position behind the enemy team's shack. They had like no high ground presence. That very good job from the Jug Dealers, making sure that those little mistakes were punished to be able to. That was not just a win. That was almost wipe. Everyone except Rakuso died.
I think Zam got a 4K or something. He like was just actually inside a frag video. Like we were watching a frag video live as it was happening. I'm sure we're gonna see that to some epic music in a month or two.
And it definitely shows why you can't be sloppy on your post-Uber positioning, because even though they had a respawn advantage if things went slower, things did not go slow at all. That was a very, very quick win for this side of the Jug Dealers. In a good position here with an Ubrad to work their way into the GCI last, and it looks like Shutter is going to be the play this time, popping through the Shutter, trying to work their way on
I don't think spotted this gun, though. This gun might be a problem. It's kind of in the corner. It did buy some time.
Uber has gone now, so they have some positioning over on the other side of the map. Zam and the
Look at this high ground
for the
from
blue
Hayes,
team.
though, just shooting down at the players, and Mustard's gonna get a 2K on last.
Heavy on the field. We'll do a little bit of cleanup. 2 players falling for both sides.
The heavy, not gonna work. Real tragedy, but both medics did live. But May's gonna have a very sizable Uber advantage to work with here. So I'm curious to see how what the Jug Dealers do, because they're kind of a little committed in here in second. They're holding kind of close.
Sam Sniper is on the way too, so he doesn't have an angle quite yet for these GCI players rolling out, but he might just take a snapshot through window like very, very late. And
Zam's gonna rotate in lower. I don't know if they spotted him yet. If he gets an opening pick here, that's gonna be pretty big.
Yep, trying to make some space and get them to peek into lower to chase these players. Oh, pipe onto Sid, almost dying. I think the sniper has been revealed, so he's gonna go ahead and back up. I know he took a shot. I'm pretty sure he was seen in some capacity.
He's on the off, that's very loud.
Yeah, working their way through lower is GCI barreling for it.
And Karma's just holding W at them while holding... Dude, the Sin Karma damages is insane. He's just man-boating into the team, but he might get caught out here.
Yeah, Gungan, a lot of Gungan just chatting up, able to put so much damage on the Sin, making him back up, as well as taking the fight with Caps right after, collecting that kill. Zam going for a miracle shot to see if anyone on the point will die to his headshot, but...
now they're going to be hurt, have to back up. Mustard just kind of walked in.
He wanted the exchange, I think, but the Uber was not able to be on him. I think there was a separation there, so exchange happening. He's able to collect Sin, so a little awkward, but it's a 4v4 at least for now. This supposed positioning is going to come into question, though. Flank from the side of the blue soldier, making sure that things are slowed down, will eventually fall for Hayes, so going to be difficult for him to hold this, but Paul Long in a position above. Sin Karma dropping down, trying to put some damage on him.
What's that Sin Karma frag? He gets it. Got his man.
Yep, so there's a bit of an opening. Mustard is rolling out. If things last long enough, things will be in the favor of the Jug Dealers. GCI definitely want to make this a very fast fight if they want to be able to take the
Well,
enemy
the
teams too.
Cat Face is
Catface dropping
very
low, will
low.
fall. Mustard Overload spam coming into play, trying to chase down these players. In grass running away, Rakuso in window, can make a bomb through, but will eat a little bit of spam. We'll know that that is not a play he can go for, so a little bit of an opening for them to start pressuring through.
Yeah. Jug Dealers has to get in here before Sin Karma arrives, because once Sin Karma arrives, okay, so they have gone through kind of through the door, so before Sin was here. And Rakuso's gonna get bombed, not ready for it. He's gonna drop very low.
Mustard just trying to make space for his team, but once again, gonna be not connected to the rest of his combo. It's starting to be a pattern where we're seeing him just wander away, and it's leading to his death. So what could have been a pretty good opening for the side of Jug Dealers pushing into mid is just immediately kind of just thrown in the garbage can. So even Ubers, but down 2 for the side of the Jug Dealers. I don't think they're gonna do much more. They maybe do a little bit of a fake bomb.
They might exchange. Looks like they're trying to exchange.
It's Sin's turn to go ahead and die. So both
Look at this big bomb
throwing
for
away their
Rakuso.
life.
Phantom get forced very early.
Yep, Uber exchange for the side of the blue team and the red team, trying to work their way to get positioning on the side of the second point, but seems like Jug Dealers want to work their way back in the lobby, heal up, but no Sin. Might be an opening for them to poke around, depending if they're feeling dangerous, want to go for it.
Looks like they're not feeling quite very dangerous as of yet. We'll have to see. Sin Karma is going to spawn here, so it looks like they're just, they're down around. Maybe they're nervous about a back cap. They're down a player. So electing a little last, not unreasonable. It's even Ubers.
Both these demos are playing pretty fearless, but it's also starting to punish them a little bit.
Yeah, I think early on they weren't really getting punished for it, and now that it's such a close match, I think their nerves are getting the best of them. They're kind of, walking forward into the entire enemy team, which sometimes Sin Karma does have a reputation for, getting out of very sticky situations, but not recently.
Rakuso Spy is going to be the play. Rolling out though, so what? Caps? Did he just? Did he build? I'm watching the stream. Hold on. He ate a piece of spam while building and took like 90 or 80 damage, and it just killed him.
Absolute tragedy. You really just hate to see it. Even Danny's done it. It has
That's
happened.
actually perfect though. It's actually perfect because now they're not gonna wonder why aren't they sacking when Rakuso was rolling out on
maybe
Spy.
That's part of the plan all along. Honestly, I could see it. They're playing 5-dimensional chess.
Yeah, he was like, here, let me
Oh my god. No.
Almost. Not quite though. So counter sack attempt for the side of blue team, immediately stuffed. Hayes not going to find anything, immediately stuffed by both the GCI scouts. So 1-for-1 trade, sack attempt, and Rakuso spawning up, and he's back on Soldier. Catface actually going back to spawn, wanting to do some shenanigans of his own. If Catface is going back to spawn and Rakuso staying, it's probably Sniper.
I'm watching an absolute fiasco right now.
Okay. We've seen this like 3 times where he does this. I still don't fully get it. Like, okay, I get it. Like, I get what he's trying to do, but this is not like a, oh yeah, engineer, this is a thing.
I can see it on process. It's pretty good on some maps. I'm curious where they put it, because the point of holding a gun on second, right, is you have the telly, so when you can sack like 2 or 3 people and they'll be back faster, and you have a gun watching like 2 exits, right?
Yeah, this is like a, you either put it your forward spawn like defensively, or this is obviously not that case, or you're doing this purely so that you can run a 3-man and have a teleport.
Yeah, and also the gun is pretty nice because you can put a gun like on the box and watch pretty much every door. So this could work. I could see it. Yeah, he's putting exactly where I thought he would. Sam's guy with the base cannon, but so we almost had some engineer on engineer action, but that does mean blue has spotted the sentry gun. So now they're in a kind of a pickle because having the sentry means that red has announced that they are perfectly fine just sacking over and over again until they get something.
It also means that Jug Dealers might come to a point where they're okay sitting on last and just having things reset to another mid if it gets too hard. I mean, like, if they just send 2-mans with an engineer, it might be a little bit rough, but the gun will go down.
Here. Yeah. It must have had a little bit of a spook there, but looks like he, got a bow. He's fine now.
Yep, GCI still in the driver's seat.
For Rakuso.
He's just in the skybox, low HP. Will just die to Gungan. But the Uber will actually get forced.
I didn't see how that happened.
What force fans? Alright, I gotta look at the stream again. Too much stuff's happening. He took 100 damage. Oh,
maybe he got scared of the spoon too.
Both soldiers went in, so Sin is able to get it. Okay.
Yeah. Zam is the base cannon. Oh, he got Sin.
He got Sin.
You take that trade.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the gun could go spam down now.
Yeah.
But actually, there is no gun because it got spammed down earlier.
GCM might not even push now, or actually, they're just gonna. Never mind. They're just gonna walk straight in because they never have anyone on that side. But May's gonna take some early damage. Gonna force his Uber a little early here.
They're trying to
see if they can get any kills. They're not collecting any kills right now.
It's practically a solo. The second player was just not quite
Look at Mustard's in position. Cooper's
seems
got
like
wait,
the gun
got
moving
moved up,
forward.
the gun on last.
It's getting spammed. Catface dropping low,
Catface
able to
is
get on the point.
preparing
Zam gets his little heavy body onto the point, but it's not quite enough. And that was a really interesting round. That
was very experimental, I'd say.
If you verbally described to me how that round was gonna go and then how that last match was gonna go, I would not believe you.
Yeah. My favorite part of that was Catface actually died from spam because they were either missing the gun or intentionally shooting Catface so he couldn't repair it, and then his gun cleaned up anyway. But looks like we're after another mid here. I'm curious to see what the jug dealers do here to kind of mix it up because so far they're down 0-2 in this round and on match point.
Yep, gonna be rough for them if they lose this and be in a bad position on their own last or two, depending on how things go. A little bit of a slow mid once again, but probably not too much longer until we see some sort of fake bomb happening, some spam happening to try to make people leak. It's gonna be Catface dropping very low, try to stand still for an AO to keep himself in this fight, but blue soldier initiation, a lot of damage on Rakuso. Yep, gonna knock him off the high ground, able to participate in the rest of the mid for at least a second until the battle happens over in kitchen. Zam gonna get cleaned up, but it seems like Kate's gonna get cleaned up as well as his attempt to try to clean up Rakuso.
Oh, they haven't spotted Paul Dog gonna get it.
Paul Dog just lingering in mid, getting the drop.
He got clean 2-rocket from Paul Dog. That was just 2 directs, and looks like both scouts are gonna. Oh, they're running a trade. They got gonna get a Phantom's in a last. He's gonna get forced here. So, the Red Scouts kind of equalizing the whole situation. What a strange mid.
They really salvaged that the best they could, and Jug Dealers just lose their advantage. Paul Dog with a good play, but at the end of the day, Phantom, Uber gone. So they don't really have too much to work off. I mean, they know they know May spawned at last.
Corner.
Yeah, they spotted Rakuso in the corner. They know May spawned at last because mid has not been capped yet. So there's no heals anywhere near here. So it's easy second recap actually.
Oh, was that a blind? Was that a blind?
No, he was watching in lower. He barely saw it in lower. So no demo. That's gonna probably mark a dry push. And here they are coming through lower. GCI trying to work their way back into the enemy team second.
Yeah, looks like, without that demo, it's going to be really hard to hold. It looks like a really big one from Paul Dog and going to do decent damage to Sim, but really nothing else. It looks like Blue might have to back up here. I'm curious to see what they do. They're still holding.
A lot of damage though at the very end of the day. Zam looping around trying to get onto May to salvage anything, but that is going to be all she wrote for that second hold. So I think they tried to stick it out to play the respawn advantage and hope that Mustard would spawn in time, but they dropped too many players too quickly in GCI.
Oh no, he did that!
Immediately going in, trying to collect this kill, and Mustard dropping very low, will find it, and all you need to do is really get on last because it is a full wipe. That is GG, and GlobalClan Ice will take this game 5-2, and they, how do I word this? They are sitting pretty for having their playoff spot solidified, while the Jug Dealers have a long road ahead of them. They got particular matches they need to win upcoming in the season. If they don't, then their run is over.
Yeah, Jug Dealers definitely, they have a more difficult path ahead of them losing this match. They do have a rematch here, so it is possible they could equalize this down the line, but losing the first one here is not what they wanted to see. It kind of relieving if you're GCI, because they did drop a match to a team that they're, that quote-unquote better on paper. So, losing 2 matches like that in a row would be very disastrous. I'm glad they kind of righted the ship, so to speak.
Yep, it was a good job from them, and I'm sure they're happy things went this way after what happened recently, and they kind of got their safety net yoinked away from them. But this match was definitely an important one to win, so they can rest easy for a couple weeks until the rematch goes around, where that's going to be probably the rematch is the Jug Dealers' last real attempt to try to keep themselves in the fight for the playoff race. But see some stats on the screen. Things are going to be a little bit more in favor of GlobalClan Ice this time around in terms of the kills. Got 3 12s across the board. A lot of kills collected from the scouts as well as Sin Karma. And Sin Karma topping the damage charge at nearing 350 DPM, entering the 300 DPM club.
I will say, not that it's necessarily impactful, but the Engineers put 4-1 and 2-1 respectively. So who knew that Engineer was the real KD kind of class?
Yeah, those revenge crits and the sentry kills were pretty good. People just sack in, die, that's a kill. You run around with your base cannon, able to use a crit, collect that kill. So I guess it makes sense.
I will say, I think I don't know what adjustments GCA made necessarily, but whatever they did in the halftime seemed to work, because that was a much more dominant showing from them compared to the first half. The first half they almost went down 1-2 until they got that kind of last second round, and I guess that was the momentum shift, because after that it was just all GCI.
I think it was partly mids. Like even when the Jug Dealers would kind of win a mid, it'd be pretty rough. GCI was able to find counter initiation to make sure that even when things went kind of bad for them in the first couple seconds, they were able to at least kind of turn things around to be able to make sure the mid was secured at the end of the day. Even the time May dropped, they still like won that mid. I'm pretty sure they had just enough players alive because of how well they succeeded earlier on. So
Yeah. Yeah, they did kind of, even the mid that May drop, both scouts managed to, force Phantom. So basically, at worst, it was just an equal situation.
in a back and forth match where the first round we saw was literally last to last. Like it went back and forth multiple times, and the teams are relatively equal skill level. It's always really nice to be able to start most of the rounds on the other team's half of the map. So if you're moving forward, you win. And if you're moving backwards, you're not immediately losing compared to, if you lose a mid, if you're not able to get the next fight going your direction, that's not around in your favor. It's going to the opponent. So it's definitely a very important thing. And the adjustments that they made was enough to net them this 5-2 victory. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen later on in the season during their rematch. Inquiring about interviews, sometimes we get them, sometimes we don't. I think we have some people on the way. We just have to wait for them to gather their things. Yeah, gather their things and work their way over here. So
I will say that I
take a
think
sec.
Sin Karma definitely in that second half, he kind of not necessarily redeemed himself, but he definitely kind of showed up that second half, way top of the scoreboard comparatively to the first half. I think he top damaged both halves, but I think definitely in the second half he was higher in the DPM stat. That's all you can really look at as Demo Man.
For the most part, yeah, because you don't necessarily need to get kills. Like even though it's probable, because trap kills and stuff on Snakewater, but you can just totally let your scouts collect kills, and that's definitely it happened a decent amount on GCI. Cap dropping the charts overall in the match, 39 kills, so definitely commendable stat line from him. We do have May in here, and I think we have Caps on the way.
On the way.
How you doing, May?
Yeah, how you doing, May?
I'm pretty good. Feel good about winning that match.
That was
so go ahead.
Yeah, you go first, but your question's probably much smarter than mine.
All right, so going into the match, it was obviously an important one. Both teams are trying to get into playoffs the best they can, and the head-to-head matchup could play a factor later on in the season when we figure out, who's getting what seed. So this time around, for this particular match, they were the team that was allowed to pick the map, and they ended up picking Snakewater after all the bans were said and done. When you saw that it was going to be Snake, how did you guys feel? Were you happy with how things kind of landed, or any regrets or anything?
It was more about process of elimination for us, like trying to find out the maps that we really didn't want to play them on, and then just like narrowing down the map pool of maps that we could play them on, essentially. And what it came down to was it came down to 3 maps. It was like Gully, Snake, and I think Metalworks, and they ended up picking Snakewater. So once it went to Snakewater, we felt pretty confident in playing them on Snakewater because, like, I feel like we can control their aggression on that map more easily than a map like, say, Gullywash, because their soldiers in their demo are like really spam heavy. So like if we faced them on a spam heavy map, I feel like we would have suffered a lot from that. So it helped that it was Snakewater, and we were, I would say, mostly prepared for what they were going to do that match.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to point out is I think the second half was a much more dominant showing. So did you guys have any sort of, sometimes in the halftime you just kind of chill out, and some halftime you go over, what can we do better, what can we fix? So you guys must have changed something, because that second half looked much more dominant from you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we evaluated what was going wrong in the like break between the halftime, and then we kind of just like adjusted from there. And it went pretty well. Mostly what was going wrong was like our last pushes, because we beefed like 2 or 3 of those, and we mostly just like talked about those because our mids were fine, and then I guess it worked. We do have Caps here now, though.
True, welcome, Caps. How are you feeling about this victory? This was definitely a very important win to collect. So any initial thoughts once you see the scoreline going your way after all said and done?
Easy money. That's all I have to say. Got a bunch of fans on the other team. Feels good,
That's what you like to hear. I will say, someone asked us the question. So about that cafe sentry, that was very exciting stream content. But what was the theory there?
I was begging and pleading him to not go engineer, but he did it anyway.
Can't stop cafes.
He did it anyway, and to our amazement, it actually worked. And I think it had like huge impact on the last, literally won us around.
They literally spent like 2 entire clips of trying to spam him, and they didn't even kill the sentry. They just killed him behind the sentry. It was
I
very
was begging him
impactful.
to not go NG, but it's actually like the best play I've ever seen. So it worked out.
Hey,
We're pretty happy about it.
Sometimes you just have to believe in him.
I kind of agreed with him going NG in the situation because we're up rounds at that point, and then it allows us to like have a teleporter, and we can send double soldier
Yes.
sacks like pretty much constantly. And then like the first sack wave we did after we had the gun, I think Soldier Sin like forced them, and then we were able to just have like a full Uber ad last push, and then we just plopped down the sentry where we wanted it, and it just worked out.
Anybody
So,
listening
I
to
don't know.
this?
I agree
Anybody
with the
listening to
NG.
this? Just implement NG into your play on your teams, and I want to see NGs left and right in matches, Snakewater matches. All right.
Very good stream content. You know, you have to have dynamic players on your team. Cafe is definitely a dynamic player.
Heavy to last, NG to last. It don't matter.
All right.
Yeah.
Obviously, everyone participates to achieve victory in your match. But if you had to give an MVP to someone on your team, who would you give it to? That's a question for both of you.
Cafe's engineer.
Yeah, I honestly want to say Cafe's engineer. I mean, it won us. Okay, that's kind of a meme because it like won us one round.
It's
but,
just one round, but
like
yeah, I don't
in terms of the grand scale of like the match itself, I'd probably say Caps. He was just getting like a lot of picks that were helping us in multiple situations.
Oh,
and
I
we were
think
like,
I'll say May. I'll say May.
I had 4 drops. That's another story.
By choice, though.
Yeah,
It's not my choice. What?
to be fair, sometimes it's not your fault.
Yeah, Medic's just that class.
Yeah, just how it goes.
All right. Well, any shoutouts from you guys before we go ahead and wrap up the stream?
Yep. Shout out to the Caps fan club. It's a Steam group. Look it up. And shout out to my team. They played good. And shout out to their team. They also gave a good showing.
Yeah. Shout out to our team for performing well and adjusting well over these last couple of weeks. And shout out to all of the ringers that have been helping us recently, because I've had issues with like work and stuff like that. So they've been keeping us afloat basically. But should be pretty good moving forward for the rest of the season, and I'm looking forward to it.
Any shoutouts, Space?
Shout out the skis, I guess. Yeah, big fan of skis. Shout out to him. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, nice. All right, definitely shout out to Dolphin on production, giving everyone the show and the viewers for hanging out and watching and spending time with us during this interview. But that is going to be it for us tonight. Make sure you want to stick around for a cast tomorrow. I'm pretty sure that's going to be Jug Dealers vs. Platypugs, I'm pretty sure is going to be the match, so don't want to miss that. It's going to be an important one for both teams to try to collect some wins and keep themselves afloat during this season. But that is going to be it for us for tonight. I've been Jarrett, casting with Space Ghost with Dolphin on production. Thank you and good night.